Hello everyone, welcome to Business School 101. You've probably heard about tariffs, but did you know there's another powerful tool countries use to control trade? It's called a quota. So, what exactly is a quota? How does it work, and why do governments use it? Most importantly, how does it impact businesses and consumers? In this video, I will discuss these questions with you. Section 1. What is a quota? Let's start with the basics. A quota is a government-imposed limit on the quantity or value of goods that can be imported or exported during a specific period. Unlike tariffs, which make imported goods more expensive through taxation, quotas directly restrict the amount of a particular good that can enter or leave a country. For example, suppose the U.S. sets a quota allowing only 1 million tons of sugar to be imported annually. Once this limit is reached, no more sugar can be brought in, regardless of demand. This keeps domestic sugar producers from facing too much foreign competition. Section 2. Types of quotas? There are two main types of quotas. Number 1. Import quotas. These restrict the amount of a specific good that can be imported into a country. Import quotas are used to protect domestic industries from foreign competition by limiting the availability of cheaper imported goods. For example, the European Union imposes import quotas on textiles from countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh to protect its domestic clothing manufacturers from being flooded with low-cost imports. Number 2. Export quotas. These limit the amount of goods that can be exported from a country. Export quotas are often used to ensure that there is enough supply of a particular good for domestic consumption or to control the global price of a commodity. For example, in 2021, China imposed export quotas on rare earth minerals, which are essential for electronics production, to maintain control over the supply and pricing of these critical resources in the global market. Section 3. Why do countries impose quotas? In general, countries use quotas for following reasons. Number 1. Protecting domestic producers. Quotas shield local industries from being overwhelmed by foreign competition, especially in industries where domestic producers struggle to compete with cheaper imports. For example, in the 1980s, the U.S. imposed quotas on Japanese car imports to protect its domestic auto industry. This allowed American carmakers to compete by limiting the number of Japanese cars entering the U.S. market. Number 2. Preventing dumping. Quotas can prevent countries from dumping large amounts of low-cost goods into another country's market, which can harm local industries. For instance, in 2020, India has set quotas on cheap Chinese solar panels to protect its growing domestic solar industry from being overwhelmed by lower-cost imports. Number 3. Managing resource availability. Export quotas ensure that a country's critical resources, such as food or raw materials, remain available for domestic use and do not lead to shortages. For example, during periods of food shortages, countries like India have imposed export quotas on rice to ensure that enough is available for domestic consumption. Section 4. Impacts on businesses and consumers. Quotas can have both positive and negative effects on businesses and consumers. For businesses, domestic businesses benefit from reduced competition with foreign imports, allowing them to maintain higher market share and prices. However, industries that rely on imported goods may face shortages or higher costs. For example, U.S. clothing manufacturers benefit from quotas on Chinese textiles, as these limits reduce the influx of cheaper imports, allowing domestic producers to remain competitive on price. However, businesses that rely on these imports, such as retailers like Walmart and Costco, may face higher costs and restricted supply, leading to potential price increases for consumers. For consumers, quotas often lead to higher prices for consumers, as the restricted supply of goods raises their market value. Additionally, quotas can limit the variety of goods available in the market. For example, when quotas were imposed on Japanese cars in the 1980s, American consumers faced higher prices for foreign cars and fewer options, as only a limited number of imports were available. Section 5. Quotas versus tariffs. While both quotas and tariffs are tools used to control trade, they work in different ways. A tariff raises the price of imported goods, but doesn't limit the amount that can be imported. In contrast, a quota limits the quantity of goods, regardless of price. For example, let's say the U.S. wants to protect its domestic steel industry. It can either impose a tariff that makes imported steel more expensive or set a quota that limits the number of tons of steel that can be imported. While tariffs affect price, quotas directly affect the availability of the product. Section 6. Conclusion. To sum up, a quota is a government-imposed limit on the quantity or value of goods that can be imported or exported during a specific period. Quotas are designed to protect domestic industries by limiting foreign competition, manage resource availability, or prevent the dumping of cheap goods into a market. Understanding quotas is essential because they significantly impact global trade, influencing prices, supply chains, and the balance between protecting local economies and fostering international trade relations. Alright, that is all for today's topic. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. Thanks for watching and I will see you next time.